Hey guys, welcome to
Welcome
Don't Worry Wednesday.
to Don't Worry Wednesday.
You have the most ridiculous start times.
The most
Yours,
ridiculous
remember,
start times.
remember Jesse was weird with his like 3, 2, 1, go, and then we would start,
Mm-hmm.
and then you complained about it.
Yeah. Now I'm
Uh-huh.
in charge of it.
Now you're in charge of it, and you're even
Yeah.
worse.
Hey, you know what? It's like I always told my kid, what am I the best at?
Sneezing.
Messing things up and
I've
sneezing.
never heard that before.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, I've heard it. All right. Well, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, everybody, the show where we talk about whatever issues are on your mind, whatever is, a struggle in your life, whatever's holding you up, whatever's got your mind keeping you awake at night. Those type of things. Maybe you're struggling with your parents, maybe you're struggling with your children, um, or you've just learned you have an illness and you want to talk about it. Either way, we're here to help you along. We're not professional psychologists, psychiatrists, police officers, or train workers, but we have lived lives, and we can aim to be a good friend and help you out in the things that we've learned along the way.
I'd like to be a train worker.
You'd want to work on the train?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
usually I'm considered a train wreck, but
Wow. Nice.
if I could be a train worker, that'd be better.
Yeah, being a train worker is better than being a train wreck, that's for
That
sure.
that's right. I have a cousin who's actually, it's my cousin's husband. He works at a rail yard and
Oh,
he makes decent money there. So I was like, hey, it wouldn't be a bad job. I'm sure he works
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. Would
There's
you
lots of
rather
big
rather
equipment.
lay tracks or work on the train itself, like as a conductor? Is that what they call them? Conductor?
That's a really good question.
Or maybe you're one of the people that walks around with the food and is like, "Hey, you want any snacks?" You could be one of them.
I could be that. What they're not
Train
flight
attendant?
attendant. They'd be
It's train attendant.
train
That's
attendant,
my
rail
best guess.
attendant, something.
Because flight attendant's the one that does that on flights, so I have to assume train attendant. If that's not what they're called, then they need to change their name.
Hey, anybody in the chat knows what that's called? Please let us know.
Mm-hmm.
That would
And
be
if anyone in
great
the
because
chat
we
has
can
ever
be
dreamed of having
educated.
that as a job, let us
Train
know, because that's
attendant.
amazing. Train attendant.
Yeah, because it seemed like every once in a while you might get like some kind of bump or whatever, and you'd spill something. It'd just be like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I've ever ridden on a passenger train.
Me neither.
I've only ridden on roller coasters, and I can't imagine being a roller
Hey,
coaster
I'm a roller
attendant.
coaster attendant, so that when it's going about, 70 miles an hour on an open track, what I do is I like to walk down and say, "Hey, would you
You
like
guys
some
want some
water?"
peanuts?
Oh, that's gone. Hold on, I've got more. No, I don't. Well, you have a nice day, sir.
Oh, look, hey, we've got Princess. Train attendant. As a train attendant, you work in train cars or at railway stations to assist passengers with boarding, finding seats, or using the service cart. Train
Nice.
attendant.
Train attendant. I got it.
Yeah, that's right. I learned something just now
Huh.
because I forgot to turn
That
notifications
it's
off
train
on
attendant?
my
We both
phone.
just learned that.
No, I learned that
Okay.
tomorrow is National Burrito Day.
Tomorrow is a day I can eat. I should eat burritos.
Tomorrow is April 1st. It's April Fool's Day. I think the burrito is trying to horn in on April Fool's Day.
Oh, that makes it for a very interesting occasion, because then you're gonna have April Fool's burritos. So people are gonna bite into a burrito and it's gonna be filled with tar or something.
Oh, man. Or to have a hot dog and cereal in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you could really, I mean, think about a burrito. You could hide anything you want in there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
That's why
usually
it's so.
closed completely off. And so it's just
Mm-hmm.
like all you see is a tortilla shell with some stuff in it.
So
Like
you have to
that
make
could
sure
be
that it's
anything.
the right like texture when they press on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for what they're going for. But beyond that, I mean, you could put whatever you want in there. You could put Cheerios.
Mm-hmm.
You could put black food dye, like a ton of it.
Well, to have the that'd be great.
Yeah.
Black dye everywhere.
They would have this. Like it would just on their teeth and just
See, I was thinking about taking one of those meat grinder things and
spaghetti.
grinding up just a whole bunch of stuff. You could, because like
Yeah.
you said, it's got to be the right texture. You
Yeah,
gotta feel,
and
it's
which
got
is
to
the texture
feel
of
like
mush.
the burrito, right? Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So as long as you could grind up anything, man. You could throw some pickles and some bologna and some mayonnaise and like, and then everybody be like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm eating a burrito, but it's like sitting back on the porch in the sunshine in the summer eating a bologna sandwich with some pickles.
This burrito tastes like a bologna sandwich. Okay.
Or you could put peanut butter and jelly in there. That'd work.
Oh, 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 that's a lot of peanut butter and jelly. Holy cow. You would bite into that and it would just make a mess. I like it.
Peanut butter
All right.
jelly burrito. That would be a shocker, man. You're going expecting some Mexican food. You get PB and J.
Yep. Well, fantastic. Yeah. Just like Baca said, the start of Don't Worry Wednesday always makes no sense.
That's
and
right.
I agree completely.
We
So
did that on
why don't we get
purpose.
into it? Yeah. We're trying to buy time.
Whose topic was this?
What
Yeah.
topic was this? Ours. It wasn't very good. We're sorry. It was Joe's topic more specifically. He
Yeah, it was I got an app from the gas station because apparently I have the gas station's app on my phone. Because I have Speedway reward points.
and they're the ones that told you it was burrito day?
Yeah,
Oh. Well, then it was Speedway who recommended this topic.
Speedway says tomorrow is National Burrito Day. Try our sausage, egg, and cheese or chicken and queso burrito for only $2. So it's really just an ad.
I don't think we need to take Speedway's topics anymore because they don't seem to be struggling.
Have you met the people that work there?
Yeah, they're different. They're probably struggling.
Some of them are doing great. Some of them
are.
I've
Some are
I've
great.
run into some of them where it's like they're having a really crummy day.
Mm-hmm.
Still better than the Domino's ones I get.
Oh,
Domino ads?
Yes.
or
Oh, okay.
Domino workers.
I didn't know if you meant
the
workers or
app,
ads.
they do an emote of pizza. Will make you feel better about your busted bracket.
Oh, like for March Madness must be for like the
Yes.
basketball stuff.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, tax brackets? Like, what are we talking?
Like these brackets, like I don't
These
have
ones.
the chat in there.
These
Yeah,
ones.
exactly. Boop boop.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like it's supposed to look
Now
like
it's like
this,
a box.
but it ends up looking like
So it's supposed to look like Baca?
Yeah.
this, or it's like this. Yeah, it's like, oh wow, yeah,
That's interesting.
that was. The
So
wrong
is
kinda
this
thing.
like a robotic smiley face?
Yes, that's a robot smiley face.
A robot
definitely.
smiley face. Is this a robot smiley face with a mustache?
Mine was a robot Cyclops smiley face.
Oh, it's that thing. The
That,
thing nobody
or it's
ever
the
uses.
visor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's a mustache. Is that a mustached robot smiley
Well,
face?
if I go like this.
That just looks displeased.
It does,
Saul is
yeah.
displeased.
It
He's
looks
like,
weird.
guys, really? Is that what we're doing with this show right now? Come on. Come on.
Hey,
All
we got a
right.
topic. Baca's
Yeah.
here, and Baca has a topic.
All right, Baca, are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna go through the list just in case anybody is here. We've got Sevlev, SK, Awkward / Pika, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Amira, Random, Ian Lam, Helmarak Hero, Pear, an anonymous person, and Baca. Oh, hey, Ovanavi. How's it going?
Yes, I think we've been corrected. I believe it's Vanavi.
That's what I said.
You did say that.
Uh-huh.
That's what I said you said. I had to be corrected because I've been saying Vanna V, like Vanna White,
Oh.
but that was wrong.
How is Vanna spelled? Is it the same?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that makes sense.
Or it might have an H at the end.
Vanna. Yeah, because it's like Hannah.
Yeah.
Hanna, but with a V.
Yeah.
So Vanna.
But Vanna sounds, yes. It sounds more Vanna-ish.
Vanna sounds yes.
Vanna sounds yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And hopefully
Well-
I didn't get it wrong again. Hopefully I am correct in that it's Vanna. Is it is Vanna, right? Vanna V?
Yeah. It's Vanna.
All right.
All right. Well,
Man,
it
oh,
looks like
man.
Baga, you're the one that we are going to be taking first. So yeah, this is from Baca. It's called Beauty in the Beat. Not Beauty and the Beast. Beauty in the Beat.
Vanna says, "We'll
Are
never
you ready
know."
for this
I think
topic?
so. There's a link that's been put in the chat, and I can just assure you that it's the right one.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it though? Did you look?
It is. I look.
And it works.
Well, if you have any question, click on that one.
Yeah, if you click on Joe's always works. Just like princesses. Because Joe clicks on
'Cause
princesses
I click
first.
on princess.
Unless YouTube decides to silence Princess.
Yes,
Right.
that one time where it wouldn't allow you to put links and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
That
Yes.
was a nightmare.
Are you ready?
So click
Yep.
either one; it'll take you to the same place, or at least
Yep,
it
if you
ought
want to
to.
read along, feel free. Go for it.
In the past 8 years, I have found a joy in music. I have come to listen to music nearly 30 to 50% of my day, and it keeps me calm and happy mood. Music also helps me relieve stress and anger. Now lately, I feel like I'm relying on music too much. It's one of my little insecurities, but I still worry about it. Is it a problem to rely on music too much? From Baka.
Thanks, Baka.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. You know, it's kind of funny because you're asking people who are musicians,
Right.
which is a great couple of people to ask. I think if you're going to go to anybody to ask, you know, I think that most musicians will give a different answer than what we might give, though, because there's all sorts of different opinions on things in life, and there's all sorts of different wisdom that you can learn along the way. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to see what Joe has to say about this. So I'm gonna, if he's down for it, I'm gonna let him talk about it.
I'm absolutely ready.
Are you
I
down
will
for it?
say, yeah, I'm down, man.
Okay,
Down like Donkey Kong.
fantastic, fantastic.
Fantastic.
I didn't realize that Donkey Kong was down.
Donkey Kong is down.
He's down. All right,
Down
well,
like
go for
Donkey
it.
Kong. Anyway, it's interesting. Like Ryan said, you're asking a couple musicians this question. And so like, of course it's like, hey, no, man, and you need to be listening to my music because
Yeah. I said blah 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 blah. Spotify and iTunes.
because yeah, buy my record, buy it 20 times. No, actually, no. Music is a gift that we have. It really is. And I mean, you think, I thought about this not too long ago. Where I was kind of analyzing this, and I'm like, what is music? Music is just a collection of vibrations. Right? I mean, really, it's sound. It's sound in, different waveforms, collected together. Some that harmonize in a beautiful way, some that harmonize in a interesting way. You've got all kinds of different structures of waveforms that collect and combine together and form music. And for some reason, that sound can penetrate through into our spirit. There's this very interesting thing. And music has always played a role in worship. It's always played a role in rituals. I mean, even you go back, man, I can remember going on a mission trip to Haiti, and the area that we went to is an island off the coast of Haiti, and even there it was like third world, right? I mean, so most of the kids wore no clothes because they just didn't have clothes. And, and then the adults, they would have like a party when someone gave somebody else a goat, because it was a big deal, right? I mean, to have a goat was a big deal in this area. And so, but music there was a huge part. I remember the celebration. We happened to be there one time when somebody had a baby. And so they partied, man. They partied like crazy. And they had the drums going, and people were dancing, and I can't even name some of the makeshift instruments that they'd made out of different stuff, but it was very percussive for sure. And just to celebrate with these people, we kind of walked out and we found where they were, and they were out there dancing. They had a fire. It was just like being here. I mean, in Michigan we have bonfires, and somebody brings a guitar and somebody brings some bongos, and it's like, hey, we play bongos and guitars and dance around the bonfire, right? It was the same type of deal, man, except it was louder, and it lasted like all night, all night, and then into the day. And it was just like, poof, that was a big deal. So music really is one of those things that humans have a really close relationship with, and we see it all the time. I mean, now we have streaming services. We have Spotify, we have YouTube, we have YouTube Music, we have Apple Music, we have all this kind of stuff, right? And we basically get to choose whatever music we want to listen to at any given time, which to me is incredible, because I come from a time when you listened to the radio and you got to listen to what they thought you needed to listen to. And then if you liked it, you went to the store, you had to buy the album, either a cassette tape or a compact disc. I'm not quite old enough for the 8 tracks. But yes, it was either a tape or a CD. Excuse me. And that's how you would listen to music. And so you'd buy an album and you'd listen to the same 12 songs over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over again, right? Or sometimes you'd listen to the same song over and over and over again. And it was really good practice for becoming a producer. What? Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just saying, and then the records. If you ever got a record, usually there was only one song on it, so you'd listen to that one song over and over. But there was no loop function. You had to, play it, and then you're always bringing it back. But
depended on your record player. Some of them would automatically
yes, there were some that had the automated.
They would.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Those are the highfalutin record players. Yeah.
I never had one of those.
Yeah.
We had a record player, but it wasn't highfalutin, that's for sure.
The highfalutin kind. You had to actually pick up the needle and move it over and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's funny to me because vinyl is really making a comeback, and I'm just like sitting there going, man, I don't think I could ever. I mean, I've had a Spotify account now for years, a paid Spotify account. So I'm just like, I can listen to any song ever that I want to, anytime I want, with no ads, anytime, ever. And I can pick from the library of the history of music, basically. And I can listen to anything I want and find new stuff. And it's great. So here's an interesting thing. So you say you listen to music nearly 30 to 50% of your day. It keeps me in a calm and happy mood. It helps to relieve stress and anger. But now you feel like you're relying on it too much. Now, there could be some truth to that. If you're starting to feel that way, that maybe you're listening to music a little too much, that's definitely possible. I mean, if it's doing the job of keeping you calm and in a happy mood and, helping to relieve stress and all that kind of stuff, or maybe giving you a little spike of energy when you need it, different kinds of music can do different things. You have to be careful because I went through a time in my life listening to all kinds of, it's tough to say. I don't want to go into genres because different genres affect people differently, I think. But I went through a time period where I listened to music that basically made me depressed. And it wasn't a good thing. So it definitely can penetrate and reach into our deep, deep into our spirits and kind of affect us. So probably what I would recommend, if you're starting to feel like this is the case, Baka, then you might want to listen to that warning inside, and I would just make sure to take some time in silence every day. And it doesn't have to be long, but it can just be quiet. It can just be a time where you exist. And it can feel amazing to just let go of all the things. And you've heard me talk about it before here on this show, I'm sure, where, you go through this exercise where you sit there, you kind of close your eyes and you sit still and just dismiss your thoughts. Whatever comes in your mind, thoughts are going to scamper through there. They're going to try and pull you in certain directions. Just dismiss those thoughts. Say, thank you. You're dismissed. And get to the point where you're thinking of nothing. It's a great way to reset. Great way to reset. It's really funny. Ryan and I, we're both musicians. We make music. We spend a lot of time, listening to music because we're working on it, right? We're making our own and, helping to perfect our craft and everything like that. And the interesting thing was Ryan and I went on a road trip to get video footage, and we hardly listened to any music at all when we were driving, and we drove like the whole day. I think it's so funny because when Ryan and I listen to music anymore, it's like we're analyzing it, and we're like, it's a teachable moment for us. Like, listen to this.
Yeah.
It's like, listen to how they put this together. Listen, oh, did you hear that? And it turns into, it's like educational.
That's right.
Now, but yeah, so I would listen to yourself. Maybe try spending some time in silence. But if you find yourself relieved as a result of listening to music, that's good. If it's helping you, that's good. If it's stressing you out and making you more depressed, that's not so good. You might need to change what you're listening to. But at the same time, if something in you is saying, maybe I'm relying on this too much, there could be truth in that. And it might be time to just spend some time in silence. But you don't have to spend too long in silence. And then you can, choose from either Ryan or my collection of songs on Spotify and YouTube and listen to your heart's content. But anyway, that's pretty much what I have to get us rolling. Ryan, what do you have?
Nice. Yeah. Honestly, kind of as Joe was indicating, I really don't listen to music all that much, personally, other than like when I'm working on music. Outside of that, I don't tend to listen to music. There are times on occasion where I'll turn something on, but most of the time, no. I've turned things on just to listen to like half a track and be like, yeah, no, I'd rather be in silence. And then I just turn it off and then I just sit there in silence because I really enjoy that. I don't expect everybody to be like me, but I will say that many studies have shown that silence is very good for you, and that studies are showing that we need more silence in our lives, because it helps to refresh and recuperate ourselves. It helps to create a environment in our mind that is more creative, and an environment that is more conductive to, um, I guess, coming up with original ideas and all that kind of stuff. Because and we've talked before, when you consume a bunch of media, music is media, so are videos, so what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you consume a bunch of media, your brain is being told what to think. We're telling you what to think. We're directing your mind. We're moving your mind right now through one step to another to another. In order to be truly creative, you have to turn all of that off, because you can't be directed along a course of thought and at the same time be fully free to go your own route. What I mean by fully free is, even though we're talking right now, you could be thinking about Doritos. And when you can think about Doritos at the same time as you're thinking about basketball, at the same time as you're thinking about what I'm talking about right now. And I directed you, I made you think about those things just right now. You wouldn't have thought those things probably otherwise and without that context. But the point is, you're free to think about whatever you want while listening to me, right? But until you turn me off, your mind isn't fully clear and fine to move without me directing you, without someone giving you what to think about next. And so sometimes if we turn the music off, it allows our minds to clear out, to get rid of, or to start recreating the chemicals. Well, you're always creating them, but still, rather, to build up the chemicals that are joy. Like when you enjoy something, what happens, is you experience something, right? And your brain sends off chemicals and things that say, I'm enjoying this, and it gets your emotions going, right? If you use up all of those chemicals, right, you run dry, you start to not appreciate those things as much anymore, and you can't feel joy from them anymore, right? And that happens to a lot of people. It happens to all of us because we're all consuming so much entertainment, right? And so to be able to get away from that is really good, because again, it allows you to feel more joy in the future if you kind of just take things without overdoing them, right? There's this balance, right? It's great to feel joy. It's great to consume, media and things like that. It's great to learn from them because they can guide your thoughts to a path you've never thought of before, which is great. And you wouldn't have thought of on your own. So it is very good, but you also have to contrast that with the opposite side that I just talked about. So you need that balance, right? And if you say like you listen to 30-50% of your day is listening to music, I don't think that's too bad. I know people who listen a lot more. I know people who could honestly say they listen to music 80% or more of their day. Growing up in high school, I knew a couple of people that wore headphones all day long, and they wore them in school, and they got away with it somehow. But it was just those little ones, Of course, that didn't really come out until I was in high school, so there's that. But anyways, so I think that 30-50%, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. But like Joe said, if your heart is telling you, hey, maybe I'm doing this too much, then maybe you are. When I get those kind of inklings into myself, those kind of realizations about myself, I try to really, really think about them and see what I can do. Like, if I get a notion that I am being, I guess, prideful or being wasteful or being whatever, like something, if I get a notion about myself, any kind of notion, whether it's good or bad, I try to, in some way, either, I guess, combat that notion. If it's a good notion, I usually just leave it be. But if it's something like, I'm not sure if this is good or not, what I try to do is I try to combat it. I try to take some time to, like even some things, I guess, that are good. Like sometimes I'll get excited about something, and then I'll get a notion like, yeah, but should I be excited? And then I'll go, okay, I'm gonna not be excited just because I was given the chance to not be excited, even though it's okay to be excited. And that's a really weird exercise, right? And it's not necessarily what you should do all the time, but it's an exercise that allows you to have more self control, right? And self control is a really, really important virtue, especially if we're talking about listening to music too much, right? You need that self control, right? Because if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to get ahead in life the best you can, you're going to need self control. You're going to need to be able to say when to turn the entertainment off and just go without it, right? You need to be able to do all sorts of things, whether it be calm yourself without the music, because that's something that's important too, right? Like, if music calms you, it might be a good idea to learn how to calm yourself without music, right? Because you're not always going to have the ability to listen to music when you are not calm, right? If if music makes you feel happy and the music turns off and you're not happy anymore, then that would be, for me, that would be like big, like, warning signs, like, hey, this is an area you need to prove in. You know, you need to be able to be happy when music isn't playing. And if I'm not happy when music isn't playing, then I need to start slowly helping my mind be happy without music. You know, I say slowly because you don't want to go cold turkey. It's you can. Sometimes that helps people. Sometimes it doesn't, though. Generally we take baby steps towards anything. That's a big change and improvement in life. So for me, if my heart is telling me like, hey, maybe I'm listening to too much, I'll respect that and I'll say, okay, let's try to not listen to too much anymore and see where that takes me. Same thing, like, if I get angered by something and my mind gives me that notion of like, hey, wait a minute, you have a choice right here. I'll go, okay, you know what? I'm angry, but I'm going to choose not to be angry. I'm going to choose to do the opposite thing that I'm feeling right now. And we'll see where that takes me. Just to practice that self-control and to help maintain the control over my mind. You see, happiness, right, is a state of being, right? Happiness is a form of self-satisfaction, right? When we're satisfied with who we are, we tend to be happy. When we're satisfied with the way things are around us, we tend to be happy, right? But that's all in our minds, right? Happiness is ultimately kind of like an emotion, you know? Just like joy is an emotion, just like anger is an emotion. And so we want that self control over that emotion. And so for me, if I find I have a crutch that is like a form of entertainment or whatever to stimulate an emotion, then what I try to do is stimulate that emotion without that crutch. That way, I don't have to rely on it. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that kind of guides your decision making, because we can't say, because it's not wrong, it's not a sin to listen to music. It's a great thing. It can be if it's damaging yourself, right? And so that's up for you to decipher, right? Damaging yourself on purpose, even for the sake of something that you enjoy, like, we call those
Mosh pits.
indulgence, huh?
Mosh
What'd you
pits.
say? Mosh pits? Oh yeah. Yeah,
Those can be
sure.
fun.
Those can be fun. Yep, they can also hurt.
They can
Hurt
be
you
painful.
and hurt a lot of other people. Yeah.
Yes. Mosh pitting.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that bring us pleasure that aren't good for us and that we're only inflicting on ourselves, right? So it's a short-term pleasure for a long-term pain. We do that to ourselves. And so we need to practice self-control so we don't do that to ourselves. And if music becomes one of those things for you, then yeah, you got to practice that self-control. If it's not, then don't worry about it, but it's up for you to figure out in your own head and try to come up with a conclusion. But I appreciate that you asked us. I think that's awesome. Joe, did you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I saw Baka added in here. I decay, but I see pain and sadness in dead, stale silence and find joy and peace in music. I can totally understand that. Now, when Ryan and I say silence, it doesn't necessarily mean absolute quiet silence where like you can hear everything.
You can hear your own heartbeat
through
your eardrums.
That's right. That's super silent. Like, so for me, silence is usually there's some kind of white noise in the background. So like I'll have a fan on, or actually in my room is my computer. So I have my computer set up right here, and on the other side of that wall is my bedroom. And there's a hole in the wall where all the cables run through, and my computer's sitting in there. So that way, on this side of the wall, I can do all kinds of studio stuff and not have the computer fans intruding on whatever I'm recording over here, right? But so then when I'm trying to sleep, I have computer fans rolling, and it's great because white noise is perfect for me. I love white noise. Dead silence is super hard for me. It just reminds me of it reminds me, I took a class in college called Wilderness Survival. This was a great class where we learned how to survive in the wilderness. You learned all kinds of great stuff, right? You learned how to light a fire without matches. You learned all kinds of fun stuff. You learned how to eat bugs and,
You learn how to eat bugs.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the best way is fried in butter. That's the best way to eat anything, I think.
Period. So it works for bugs too.
If it's
Light bulbs, yes, please. Fried in butter.
fried
On a plate. Thank you.
in butter, absolutely. But I can remember trying to sleep. Now we went on a trip. We went on a weekend trip out into the wilderness, into the state forest, right? Or maybe it was a national forest even, I don't know. But we could take everything we could fit into a coffee can about this big around and like this tall, right? Everything, that's what you could take with you. Was everything you could fit in there. So it's like toilet paper, toilet paper. Because, man, if you have an issue, you don't want to be, you don't want to have to use the foliage.
Yeah.
So, but at any rate, and then my brother, he had taken the class a few years before me. He was like, yeah, take your rope and wrap it around the outside of the can. See? So then you're not filling up your can with that. You got space in your can for like bouillon cubes and stuff like that to make your creek water taste better and, all kinds of fun stuff. But anyway, the reason I mentioned this is because at night, it was so quiet. So quiet. And so you would hear just a little tiny rustle of some leaves. And it was probably like a cricket or a grasshopper hopping on it. And you'd think, oh my gosh, it's a bear. Because it sounded so huge. But it was just, it was because it was so quiet. Like Ryan was talking about, you can actually hear your heart beating. It's so quiet. Like that, to me, that type of silence is almost oppressive to me. It almost feels like it's closing in, like it's so silent and it's like, oh my gosh. So I usually have a fan or some kind of white noise going on because that just kind of helps to smooth things out. But it goes right in line with what Ryan was talking about, where at least at that point, it's neutral. There's no message telling me how to think or what to think or whatever like that. It's not really guiding me in any direction whatsoever. It's neutral. It's just a hum or a fan noise or whatever, right? Because, if I'm outside and it's silent and I start hearing, a little chipmunk rustling in there, but I think it's like a polar bear, then my mind is going to go crazy. I'm going to be like, it's after me. Or, so that was the first night. It was so quiet. The second night, the mosquitoes came out.
Oh, no.
And so that's what we heard, were mosquitoes. Everywhere. It was so quiet. And then just mosquitoes. And then get louder. And then it'd stop and you knew it was biting you somewhere.
That's terrifying. No, thank you.
Yep, it was creepy. So anyway, so I'm with you. And Vanna says also, what did Vanna want to say? I'm sure silence is great, but if my mind stops moving for 1 second, it will literally implode. And so I can relate to that as well. And so, but like Ryan was getting at too, this is a progressive thing. Experiment with yourself a little bit. You don't have to commit. You just can try. Just try out. Just hey, okay, I'm going to shut things off for a few minutes. I'm going to just sit for a few minutes. I'm going to see how it goes. If I need to turn the music back on, I'll turn it back on, There's nothing here to beat yourself up about. There's nothing here to degrade yourself about or feel bad about or anything like that. But yeah, if your conscience is telling you, hey, maybe I'm relying on this too much, then hey, try turning it off for a while. See how you do. If you like it, great. If you don't, then turn the music back on. But listen to yourself like you're doing now, which is great. You listen to yourself enough to bring it up in a question and post it here. So listen to yourself enough to maybe try out some new ways of doing things. And it'll be amazing what you'll discover about yourself. I have this rule where I try foods once every 2 years. Foods that I don't like, if I'm presented with the opportunity. Now, I don't go out of my way to eat a plate full of mushrooms every 2 years.
But you kind of do, because your kids are always like, hey, you got to eat it.
They are. This is true. They're like, it's been 2 years. I'm like, it's been a week. Come on.
It's been a week. Come on. It's literally just a week. 2 years is a lot longer than a week.
How long has it been since you had mushrooms? Last week. No, it's been 2 years.
112 times longer.
Right. So yeah, but because here's the thing. One of the things I've learned is that I've come to grips with, I like this food. I didn't used to like it. Now I like it. I wonder how long I've liked it. Maybe I've missed out on this for like a year now, or maybe 10 years, because I just haven't tried it because I thought I didn't like it. But then, so now I make myself try it. And a lot of times I remember, oh yeah, that's pretty nasty. But don't be afraid to try some new ways of doing things. You might surprise yourself. And that's all I have. Ryan?
Yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot. I just wanted to kind of agree with you. Like, I think it's great to experiment with yourself. Like to figure out, hey, I'm gonna try this out and see how I react. I think that's great. One thing to keep in mind is life isn't ending soon. You've got time. So if you get an idea of like, hey, maybe I should change this about myself, maybe I should do this, that's going to help you for the rest of your life if you figure out what that thing is, right? And it's not like, it's like, oh, it's too late to change. It's not too late. It's never too late, to quote the song. But they're talking about something different.
It's never too late for now.
That's a different song. That's a different song. But yeah, no, I think that experimenting with the way that you work, and kind of studying yourself is super important. And I really like that you're asking these questions and trying to dig into that. So I commend you, and I think that's awesome. And I hope that you continue to do that, and that you find out whether or not music is too big in your life. I like to think that for myself, I should be able to do without everything. I should be able to function without, like, if I lose a home and I lose my ability to listen to music and I lose my left arm, how am I doing? It's like, if I lose my sight, on top of that, right? Like, so I lose all of that stuff at the same time, right? How am I doing? Am I able to function in the world? And how fast can I restart to function? How fast can I get back up on my feet? That's important for all of us, right? Not because obviously because we never know where life's going to take us, and we don't know if we're going to get hit by a car, lose our sight, lose our left arm, and become homeless. But not because that's what we expect to happen, and not because it's likely that it will, but just because having that ability to come back and step back up onto your feet no matter what hits you in life is an incredible ability, right? And if we can figure out how to do that, nothing will get in our way from being amazing people, right? We're not going to submit to anything less than what's the greatest because we know that we're capable of functioning even if we get even if we get hit hard. So even little things like, can I survive without food for the next day? Well, let's see. And then I do it, and then I'm like, okay, cool. So I can do that. So when the day comes where I don't get to eat because of something, I'll be like, hey, I've done this before. Ain't no big. Ain't no big. I got this. If I can survive a whole day without music, good. Because the next time that day hits where I can't have any music, my brain's going to be like, hey, I've been here before. Ain't no big deal. I can be happy without music. Let's just boom, happy attitude. Let's go. Right? No matter what it is, right? So if there's something in my life that I feel like, I could cave in because I don't have this, then let's try not having it. So that when I don't cave. Because I don't want to cave. I want to be on top of myself. I want to be able to have that control. So yeah, that's what I got. I was gonna give it back to you, Joe, because I thought you were the host, but I'm the host. So
You're the host.
Yeah. Did you
You're
have
in
anything you wanted
charge,
to add?
man. I just
All
got
right,
my
cool.
hand on the on-off button.
Sweet. Take your hand away. You don't need to have it on the button. That's a little. Bye-bye.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hey, I see we got some people in the chat. This is great.
Yeah.
Amira,
Welcome,
I
everybody.
see you are in the chat,
Mhm.
and I just want to let you know we do have a topic from you, and it's called "How to Relax from Stress." But I also see that you've stopped by because there might be something a little bit more urgent.
Yes, this might be. Yeah.
It is
So
more urgent, I would assume.
yeah, it definitely seems to be so. So what do we say we move right on to that one? Does that sound good? I don't
Sounds good to
see
me.
anybody else here that was on the list at the moment. So
Joe, I will get you the wrap-up thing after the topic's done. So
Okay.
you'll just have to be patient.
That's fine. Well, it'll just be blank for like a minute.
that's all right.
Yeah, because
So-
Princess is like super fast.
Yeah, Princess, do you want to read this for us? Is that
No
cool?
problem.
Thank you.
We even have a link. Look at that thing.
I want you to read the part that says "Hi, Princess" too.
Darn it, I removed that.
Oh, it's a start.
it's not relevant.
It is the
Princess,
most important part.
is. That is.
No.
Oh, it's not.
It is. You are
Hi,
relevant.
Princess. I just moved
Thank
in
you.
with a roommate less than a month ago, and I'm getting kicked out soon. I had a bunch of mental health issues and feeling suicidal and left home without saying why. She says she doesn't want to worry about rent or my well-being, which I understand. But now I have nowhere to go. I need to figure out how to stay or I'm screwed.
Mm.
From Amira.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. So only a month, I guess, right? Moved in, and then a month goes by, and then you're getting kicked out soon. Geez. Yeah, and then on top of that, you're emotionally struggling. So now you got all of this to deal with at once, and that is not a good place to be in. When you're fine and you got to deal with this, right? It's a lot easier. If you're like, I've been happy, and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden you get kicked with, hey, you got to leave. It's a lot easier than when you're struggling with depression, all that kind of stuff on top of it. So, yeah, that's real tough. And so I'm gonna give over to Princess because that was who this was directed towards. No, I won't put you through that, Princess, unless you wanted to talk about it.
I'm giving you the look.
Oh,
Okay, good.
you
Thank
got
you.
the look, man.
Sweet.
It's the look that says, Ryan, you're the greatest.
Yeah, it's
Ryan, I love you. Please continue with Don't Worry Wednesday.
Okay, thanks. That's the look.
Well, Amira
very
says here, can we talk about both? Whenever stress hits, I have the bad habit of taking it out on myself or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
that
that's
could play into what's going on here as well. So,
yeah. So Joe, yeah, take it away.
I
Do
wasn't
you want me
ready
to read
yet.
the other topic?
Oh,
as
you're not
well?
ready yet?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm sorry, Princess. What was that?
Do you want me to read the other topic as well?
Sure. Do we have it? Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can kind of
Well, I
combine
mean,
them.
it was a very short one line thing.
Oh, okay.
It was, "Hi, I'm stressed out and don't know how to relax. Help."
Oh, cool. All right. So yeah, so we can definitely we can put this in with this one as well. Um, Whenever stress hits, I think sometimes we go into panic mode, and yes, we take it out on ourselves. We take it out on people around us. We just kind of have a way of doing that, and you're not alone in that, Amira, because it's kind of part of the human experience. So you're not weird or abnormal for having that happen. And sometimes we can just lose it, and that's okay. Um, because here's the thing, it gives us a chance to ask for forgiveness sometimes. Um, and so that's kind of the first step I would take in this issue. And that is, so I mean, you don't have to go into a whole lot of details. And you've already given us some insight into what happened. You said, I had a bunch of mental health issues and feeling suicidal and left home without saying why. And you moved in with a roommate. So when you say you left home, does that mean you left home to move in with this roommate, or you left the home where you were living with this roommate and your roommate was then concerned because you left? So that was the one thing in my mind that I wasn't quite sure about, that might kind of help as I'm talking about this. But so if you're getting kicked out, the thing, sometimes when we're faced with a situation like this, there are a couple different responses that we can take. One response is it can demoralize us, really, like, and that's happened to me so many times I can't even count. Like, when sometimes I'll get hit with something that's really stressful like this. I mean, this is a big moment. Okay, your roommate was worried when you left the apartment without saying why. Okay. So there are a couple possible things that we can respond with this stuff. One, it can demoralize us, and like I said, I've been there, and it's not an easy spot to be in, and sometimes we can just feel helpless, and maybe that's kind of how you feel right now. That, oh my gosh, this is all happening, and I just can't handle it. I don't know what to do, and I can totally relate to that. Absolutely, I can relate to that. And so that's one way. Another thing, I can remember getting hit with some pretty stressful times. And there was like this perfect storm of financial, relational, and just all kinds of problems that all kind of were swirling around, and they all came and hit me all at once. And I was feeling really overwhelmed, and I was like, oh my gosh, but I need to, part of the way out is this path over here. And so what I ended up doing was having all this stuff happen to me when I could have gotten demoralized and fallen back into depression. For some reason, when all this hit, I was just like, okay, I kind of found this little spike of energy, and I was like, all right, it's time to do something. That it is hitting the fan right now. Like, all of this is hitting the fan. And so I really need to do something. I really need to get into action. And so I had to, There were all kinds of things. I had phone calls I had to make. I had to put together references so I could get a loan. There was all kinds of different stuff that I had to do. I had a little bit of money saved up, and then I also had to look into how the law worked in some of these areas to make sure everything was going about, smoothly. I mean, there were all kinds of things that I had to do in order to make this thing happen. And so here's the thing. At that point in time, I can remember pulling out this one exercise that I've done to myself, and I used to talk about it quite a bit on this show, and I haven't in a while. But this exercise has helped me so much in moments like this where everything's kind of getting crazy and I'm scared. And I ask myself this question: what's the worst thing that could possibly happen in this situation? What is the absolute worst outcome of this? And I ask myself that question. And I would encourage you in this situation, ask yourself that question as well. What's the worst possible outcome? And it may seem like it's upon you, like you're getting kicked out. That seems like it might be the worst possible scenario, but a lot of times that's my initial knee-jerk reaction where it's like, okay, that's the worst thing that can happen. And then I've come up with a few worse ones. And I'm like, actually, you know what? If that happened and I broke my leg and I crashed my car and I fell out of a tree, in that order, why would you be climbing a tree with a broken leg? I know. But so there are things that can compound on each other, right? And I say some of this stuff jokingly, but a lot of times we can take it a few more levels deep and we can be like, all right, this actually isn't the worst. This would actually be the worst. And then finally, when I settle on, okay, that's the worst possible outcome that I could have happen in this situation, I come to grips with that and I'd be like, all right, how would I respond if that happened? What would I do if that happened? And I start to think about that. I really, truly think about that. And I come to grips with that. Okay, this is the worst thing that happened. It happened. Now what do I do? Who do I call? Where do I go? I remember getting a car repossessed years ago. And it was my wife's car. Ugh. I felt like a nincompoop, to put it lightly. I was like, I had pledged to take care of this woman, and her car is getting repossessed. Not mine. Mine had been paid for. Mine was paid off. But hers was getting repossessed. And it was like, all right, well, what do I do? And I can remember starting to formulate in my head, okay, what would, okay, so she's going to have access to my car because she's got, our son was our oldest son, I think he was 2 or maybe even 1. He was really young, 1 or 2 at the time. And I was working at a car wash. And I was like, well, here we were living in the south side of Lansing. The car wash was on the east side of Lansing. I'm like, all right, well, it's too far to walk to get to work. I guess I'm looking at the bus lines. So I started looking at, okay, buses. How am I going to do this? And then, so I actually had it all planned out. I had the bus schedules. I had everything all together. And I'm like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to live like this. And that's okay. People live like this all the time. And they survive. And it's okay. And then at that, my parents had an old car that they needed to get rid of, and they sold it to me real cheap and everything. And, so it ended up working okay. But, it clearly was not my wife's choice of car. And she made it quite clear that was not her choice of car. But at the same time, it was a solution that was a lot better than her having to drive my car because my car was in worse shape. And then also then having to do the bus line thing, which would have added a whole lot of more stress, because then, if I couldn't get away in order to do something at home, if something at home needed to be done, I didn't have a vehicle to get there. There are all kinds of advantages in our area to having a car. So, at any rate, those are some things. And, a lot of times when we're faced with a situation, our minds are the worst part of it. I certainly have a habit of that. And I know, being human, all of us can fall prey to our minds. And our minds, I think I heard a quote one time, I can't remember who said it, but our minds can make a hell out of heaven and a heaven out of hell, just by the way we perceive something. We can take a look at some situation and somebody would be like, oh my gosh, that's the most glorious thing. Man, I would be so happy if that was me. And we could look at that and be like, ugh, that's terrible, right? And vice versa. But the bottom line is, you're going to get through, one way or another. However you get to the other side of this situation, it will happen. And I'm not sure what the best path to take is. But it may be as simple as having a sincere, loving conversation with your roommate and seeing if you can work something out to continue to stay. Most of the time when I'm faced with a situation where, everything's hitting the fan like this, what's required of me is to humble myself. That's generally been the case. And I've been humbled more times than I can count. Ryan's seen me go through a lot of them. Unfortunately. And for him...
Luckily, usually not firsthand, but...
What's that?
Usually not firsthand, but yeah.
It was from a distance, but I've known you.
Mm-hmm. I was never the one to humble him. That's for
no, sure. No. He just, yeah. He's just been my friend for a long time. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, it can be an amazing experience. Sometimes we just get knocked flat on our face or flat on our back. And we're just there. And we can feel completely helpless. And in those moments, we realize how important other people are to us. And what happens in those experiences is our hearts actually grow. We grow some compassion. We can grow, I don't know. A lot of times to be humbled is to also mature some. I see there's a post. How am I supposed to talk to her? What would I even say? That's a really good question. I'm not exactly sure all of why you're getting kicked out. But, and if you are unsure of why, okay, you said, she says she doesn't want to worry about rent or my well-being, which I understand. Okay, so if there's a way, if it's because you owe some back months of rent, you can ask, is there a way for you to make that up somehow? Is there a way that you can provide some rent money? Is there something you can sell? Is there some, there's all kinds of different things that are possible out there when we have our eyes open to those possibilities. What ways can you bring some money in to cover rent that you might owe? Your well-being, just to sit and talk, that might give some insight for your roommate into a little bit more security into your well-being. So those are some things. I mean, but without being in the situation, I can't give you specific things to say. But really, you might even just ask the question, this is really going to be a struggle for me for me to not be able to live here. What would need to happen for me to be able to stay? And just ask the question, is there any way that I'd be able to stay? And what would you need me to do? And sometimes that's all. Sometimes just a willingness to even address the situation is enough for someone to be like, you know what? Let's figure this out together. Stay for another month. We'll readdress it, whatever. Who knows? I'm not sure how the situation is going to go. But sometimes we just have to say, hey, I'm at your mercy. What can I do? And if there's nothing you can do, then there's nothing you can do. And then you have to figure out another avenue. You have to figure out some other route. But that's what I have to get started with. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. So, Ryan?
Sure. I mean, everything you said is really covers a lot. It's hard to say much more. I know that, but yeah, we've all been through hard times, and an interesting thing is no one goes through the same hard time as another person, right? Because we're all in different. We all live different lives. We all have different perspectives. We all have different emotions for those things that are going on. But, we've all lived very different lives up to that moment. And so, one thing, sometimes it's really hard to, it can be really hard to listen and hear someone out who says like, hey, I've never been there before. Because that's kind of like my scenario, right? I've never been where you are right now. And no one really has, because they're not you, right? So it can be hard for me to give advice on this, but it can also be hard to accept advice from other people who are trying to help. But I appreciate, Amir, that you've come and you've asked for advice, because it really shows that you're really trying to solve this, and you're willing to listen to people who may not know the right way, but they can maybe give some steps to help you thinking about what the right way is to go about everything. It shows that you've got the attitude that wants to solve it. You want to solve it, and you I think we all get to a point in something where everything becomes so stressful, we kind of just break, and we're like, all right, I've got no more emotions left to give this thing, really. And so how do I fix it? Sometimes that's how far we have to get, in order to start moving forward. I know I've had my times of being like, broken down completely into just a complete mess, and then getting back up on my feet again. It can be really hard, whether it be because of depression or just everything piling on at once. This may sound stupid, but I remember when I was in school, I hated homework with a passion, right? And then having like not done all of my homework, at the end of the year, the teachers are like, yeah, you can graduate if you do all your homework for like the entire year in the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I really don't want to do that. But my mom would force me to do it, and it sucked. And I passed with a higher grade than I wanted, because all I was looking for was a D-, but I got like a C+ or something, or a B-,
dude,
and I was like, that's way too high. I didn't even do that much work.
How dare you get
I know.
good grade.
All I was looking for was a D-. No, okay. But sometimes you just, and that's not like a big deal, right? It's like that sort of thing is like not a big deal compared to what you're going through, right? But still, at that moment, it really broke me down to the point where I was just willing to give in and figure out what I had to do to make it work, right? And so, um, I appreciate that you are trying to figure it out and you're trying to make it work. And even though you might not be, um, you know, even though you're still suffering with your emotions and stuff like that, which
Mm-hmm.
is normal,
Mm-hmm.
especially at times like this, you're still willing to figure out what's the next step, even though I've got all these emotions, because sometimes those emotions can run us over to a point where we stand still and do nothing, or we overreact in all the wrong ways and we make it worse for ourselves. And I think we all tend to do that a lot. So, something that we all have to learn along the way is like what Joe said, is to humble ourselves, and to be willing to be beaten down and to get back up. Um, and so I think what Joe had to say was really, really great. Sometimes we go through, I remember I went through a house fire and we lost everything, pretty much. If there was anything we didn't lose, it was completely gray and black on the outside and reeked of house fire
Mm-hmm.
for the next 20 years.
Mm.
Like, there are items which were through that house fire that I could pick up today, and I could, even just picking it up, I could smell it. And if I smelled my hands afterwards, I could smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like crazy. And we lost everything in that fire, really. There was nothing we could sell to get our money back. And there was a chance that we weren't going to get any insurance in the house, because when the fire happened, my mom told me not to disclose some of the details, because when that fire happened, before the fire happened, about half an hour beforehand, before the house was filled with smoke and I had to get out of there were some sounds of boots upstairs, as if someone was walking, took a few steps, and then left.
Mm.
And it was really weird. I happened to be home because I was homesick, with a temperature of 104 the day before,
Mm.
right? So I was not going to school, because that's the point where it's like your brain cells start to deteriorate. Like you start to lose some brain cells at 103 something.
Mm.
So, I was at 104, so I was just advised to stay home. And so I did. And yeah, I wasn't hallucinating. you know, I was pretty okay that day. And I was with my dog, and she was downstairs with me. And it was weird because whoever came to the door, I heard the footsteps when my dog stayed asleep, which was weird because usually, my dog would get up and be like, "Oh, what's going on?" and run upstairs. But no. And half an hour later, the whole house was in flames, basically. Um, there was a chance. I didn't disclose those details to the fire officers because there was a small chance that the person that lit that house on fire was the person who partly owned it, and that would be my mom's ex-husband.
Mm.
There was a chance that it was either him or someone that he knew that came through the door and lit the house on fire and left. Um, and because of that, if we had told the fire department and they found out and they solved the case and they found out that it was indeed my mom's ex-husband, then we wouldn't have gotten any insurance on it because the owner himself burnt the house down, and so
Right.
you can't claim insurance. So we would have been without anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we chose not to disclose those details, and yeah, at that point we had nothing, so we had to just. My mom was like, "What do we do? I don't got nothing." She found out very quickly that, which was great. She found out very quickly that everything she cared about got out, which was just people and living beings.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The dog too.
and that, huh?
Dog
The
too.
dog too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
the dog too. I got the dog out. Um, she didn't want to come out, but I got her out. And so, so yeah, it was a bit crazy. But at that point, she was like, "Well, I don't have anything. I don't, there's no money. Like, I've got some money in the bank, but I can't sell anything to get any more money. I've got my job, which is good, you know. And so she ended up doing was just relying on a couple of friends who were able to give her a place to stay and us to stay for a little while. We couldn't stay there for long, so we moved, and we couldn't stay at the next place for very long, so we moved again. So we couldn't stay at the next place for very long, so we moved again. We moved 5 times in 2 years, um, and it was a great experience. It was a really, really good experience for my mom and for myself and for my brother. And while that doesn't sound like that's a good thing at all, right? It sounds like a terrible thing to go through, and it is a terrible thing to go through. I would have compassion for anybody going through that scenario. At the end of it, or even during it, you find yourself in this position of like, you know what? It's okay. You know, I didn't need all those things anyways. They were just toys, right? Sure, I lost my computer with all my files on it. I lost my homework, whatever. It's whatever. You know, my mom lost a lot more than I did, and she's okay somehow. So, what do I got to complain about? We didn't have any clothes. We didn't. We didn't have any clothes except for the clothes that we had on. I had pajamas on. No shoes. No socks. That's all I had was pajama pants and a shirt. No coat. And it was in the middle of winter. And it had just snowed about a whole foot or a foot and a half, maybe. And yeah. So I'm like, well, this is what I got. Yep, standing out here in my bare feet in the snow. While
I did have a fever. I guess I don't anymore.
yeah, it was gone pretty quick after that. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I wasn't sick anymore. I don't remember being sick for the next several days, so I must have gotten over it. But yeah, it seems like a terrible place to be at. And it was, but it wasn't too much. It's never too much. That's what I found throughout my life. No matter what hits me, it's never too much. We can always get through it. And we don't always end up where we want to be at the end of getting through it. We don't always end up where we expect to be or back home, right? But we get through it. We find our way, One thing I always like to think about is humanity before technology. Think about the early days. How did they get through things? It's a lot harder for them, but they survived, right? I can do those things. I'm not good at them because I have not practiced in hunting or anything like that, right? In fact, I wouldn't need to. I could hunt through garbage cans if I need to, but I won't. Don't need to. But my point is, like, I think about life without all the luxuries and say, okay, I can handle that. I can think about life without all the luxuries and say, I can handle that. No roof over my head, that's fine. That's not necessary. I remember in elementary, this teacher was like, these are the 5 basic necessities of human life. You need, I can't remember them all. I think it's 6 or 7. It might be 7. I don't know. But it's like, you need food, you need water, you need oxygen, you need shelter, and you need, there's one other one I can't remember. Anyways, and I was like, I remember at that time, I raised my hand and I was like, no, you don't need shelter. That one makes no sense. The other ones make sense to me. The shelter one makes no sense. We don't need shelter. And she's like, you need shelter. I'm like, no, you don't. And to this day, I stand by that because there are literal civilizations and humanities that have existed without shelter for thousands of years. We don't need shelter. But if we can get it, that's wonderful. And so I would encourage you to just listen to what Joe said and say, you know what? I'm going to try to talk to my roommate. And it might be hard. You might not know what to say. I can tell you from my experience, having those conversations are difficult. If there's any chance you can have a normal conversation with her beforehand, that usually helps a lot. Like, hey, do you like donuts? Sorry, I always give this one. What's your favorite kind of donut?
What's your favorite donut?
And anything that's surface level doesn't matter to the conversation that you're about to have, right? Just have a conversation where you're capable of both enjoying yourselves. You ask her something about her favorite something, or talk about an event that she recently went to. Talk about anything like that, anything that she might be interested in. And then at some point during the conversation, say, hey, I wanted to talk to you about rent and all of this kind of stuff. Because I'm sorry for all the grief I've caused you, and I understand that you don't have to you know care for my well-being. I understand that I'm a big hassle to deal with, and I'm sorry. And I don't mean to be that way, but is there any way that I can stay? Because you know, I'm left without a home, and
Mhm.
I've got nowhere to go. So if I can stay, that'd be really great.
Mhm.
Whatever I have to do, I'm gonna do it. And I'm sorry for how I was acting. You know, doing that is hard. I've had to do things like that before. It's hard because you have to, like Joe said, you have to humble yourself. You have to just admit, like, hey, I'm not the best. And I think that helps because we all know we're not the best, and so like we can relate. When you say, hey, I'm not the best human being to ever live, and then she's gonna be like, yeah, I guess me neither. You know, your roommate. I mean, yeah, I assumed girl. I don't know why I assumed female. Could be a guy. Doesn't matter. Your roommate could agree.
Roommate is a
Like, hey,
she.
oh, okay. That I must have gained context and remembered it
Yes.
from the um, topic. But anyways, I honestly didn't have much advice to give, but I just wanted to say, like, I'm proud of you, Amira, and I want you to try to find the strength to just talk to her, um, and see if you can get it settled. And if not with her, don't be discouraged. Yeah, my roommate is girl. Good. Don't be discouraged, because, like I said, we've gone through some crazy things before, and here we are. Joe has gone through some insane things I would hate to go through.
Well, I didn't have to go
And
through
here
a
he
house
is.
fire in bare feet.
Yeah, I've been through all sorts of crazy stuff in my life, and while I can't say it's the same as what you're going through, because it's not, I can say that there are things that have happened to me in my life that I figured out that, you know what, it's fine. Because look, here I am. How the heck am I here? By the grace of God and all the friends and family and all this kind of stuff, and I'm really blessed. But I think most of it is there's no reason to give up. There's no reason to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give up to what? Like what? Like, you're gonna quit what? Like, there's nothing. So you just keep on chugging along,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to make life the best it can. And sometimes it's just getting yourself to a calm state where you can think about, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? All right, I gotta make a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make this phone call, but man, I don't want to make this phone call. Beep, 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 man. I don't want to. Hello, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm just okay. I've never made this phone call before. Just so you know, I don't know how to handle this, so you're gonna have to walk me through this. But I want to do this. I'm trying to get my finances fixed or whatever. You'd be surprised. You can call. If you've got loans or, um, you're in debt or something. For a car or whatever. You'd be surprised that you can make those phone calls to those debtors, and say, "Hey, look, this is what I'm going through. Is there any way I can get my payment decreased for a time so I can pay rent?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to get kicked out of my house." And you'll be surprised at the humanity behind the other side of that phone call,
Mm-hmm.
because people say, okay, yeah, we can decrease your rates for now so that you can get your stuff back together. Um, so if you have to do that, don't be afraid to do that. That's something you can do. I think a lot of people don't know you can do that. I didn't know you could do that till Joe did it. And Joe
I
did
had
it.
to, I had to.
He had to, right? He had to. That's like
It's
one of the
those moments
one
when
of the
you're
things I
up
remember.
against it.
Yeah, when you're up against the wall and you got nowhere to go, you make a phone call and you're like, "Hey, you're you're pushing me up against the wall here. could
Mm-hmm.
I? Could you release me from your choke,
Mm-hmm.
strangle?" you know. But yeah, um, sometimes you just gotta take a step back. Remember, like, hey, we're human. We're human. We've survived through crazy things,
I like the
and we can
first way you
survive
said
through
that.
crazy things again.
We're Hugh, man.
We're human. Huegh, man. Um, but that's what I got. I hope that that's helpful, Amira, and I wish you the best. I know that's really hard, so
Mhm.
I just want to let you know that you're an amazing person, regardless of where this turns out,
Mhm.
wherever you end up after all of this, which I hope is somewhere very nice. But wherever you end up, you're you and you're amazing, and you'll get through it. You'll keep on chugging forward, and your life's gonna be okay. Um, but you know, it's not always easy. I can't tell you it's easy, you know, but I can tell you that you're an amazing human being, and that stays the same. And you can get through this. You're smart enough. You're brave enough. You are enough to get through this. Just take it one step at a time. Make those calls or whatever you have to do. And know that it's hard, but just do it. And you'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to give it back over to Joe if he's got anything else he wants to add.
Well, you find out, first of all, Ryan, you know, you said you didn't have much to say, but that story, man, that says it all.
It's kind of like, it's whatever. It's in the past. When it's in the, even when going through it, it's kind of just like, meh, it is what it is. I don't have any control over this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It is what it is. I'm thankful I've got a mom.
What's the next step? That sometimes it comes down to just that. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do I do next? Sometimes we get all enamored with our plans. Like I'm definitely one for planning many steps into the future, but sometimes you just get smacked back and back and back and back and back again and again and again until finally it's just like, okay, I just need to know what to do next. Mm-hmm. Right?
And sometimes it's overwhelming because you have so many things to do. It's more important to just be like, okay, I'm not going to think about all the things I have to do. I'm just going to do whatever I can do next.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's okay. You know what? We go through situations like that. Sometimes we just get to the point where there's a bit of desperation. And it's okay. It's part of our experience. Interestingly enough, as Ryan was talking about that, and you were talking about, and reflecting on what's going on with you, Amira, and it reminds me of a guy, there's a business author named Robert Kiyosaki who, he invented the surfer wallet, the Velcro wallet. He invented it. And that's a huge deal, right? And he was mass producing. He made huge success with the surfer wallet. And then you know what happened? Some company figured out what he was doing, made it a little bit cheaper, sold it a little bit cheaper, put him out of business. It's like, hey, that's the world of business, right? So then he was broke. So he went from great lifestyle, success, to broke, homeless, living in a Toyota Camry or on his friends' couches. For a while. Him and his wife, both.
And his wife is a fantastic woman for going with him. Mm-hmm. It's sleeping in the car.
Yep. They lived in a car and on friends' couches. Various friends. And it reminded me, I had a friend in college who just kind of stayed on our couch for a while. That was all right. It got a little annoying when he was like, man, you guys don't have anything to eat. It's like, well, go buy us some food then. I mean, you're laying there on our couch.
Get out of here, punk. I wouldn't, but
I know. Yeah. But it was funny. And that gives rise to the story. That was the same house where we didn't have any food,
Oh my gosh. Oh, that one. I love it so much.
You can survive on a lot. As my friend clearly, like he made a sandwich. We were like, where did you make a sandwich? We had no food in this house. No food. Except we did have a can of like green beans or corn or something. And it was really old. Way in the back of the cupboard, right? And nobody was touching that thing. Right? So that was back there. It's all rusty and everything. It's like, we're like, I'm not to the point of eating that yet. Okay. And so like we had bread. And we had butter, but there was nothing else, right? Except for, you look through nothing. And we had this sandwich maker, this grilled sandwich maker thing, right? And so he made himself a sandwich. And we're like, what? He had bread. And like, is that just bread? that you put in the sandwich maker? Like you stuck two pieces of bread together and like grilled the two pieces of bread. And he's like, he goes, "Shut up, it's good." And we're like, what is it though? He's like, "Shut up, it's good." And he went and he sat in the corner, in this dark corner of the room. And he's like eating this sandwich. And he's like, "What is that?" "Shut up, it's good."
Oh my gosh.
he reminded me of Gollum, like, "My precious."
When you know something like with a response like that, like clearly it's not good.
Right. Yep. You're right. Saul, you're right. Butter on bread is good. He added to this bread. We didn't find out for like months later. He ate it. He ate that whole thing. And we're like, "What was it?" "Shut up, it's good." Like that is, until finally he told us, we're like, "What was on that sandwich?" It was a grilled mayonnaise and ranch dressing sandwich.
So gross. That's not a good idea.
It wasn't.
Mayonnaise and ranch.
He said it was so horrible, but he was so hungry.
Just eat bread. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, but it was an experience. And here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go through this, Amira. You're gonna make it to the other
a mayonnaise
side.
and ranch sandwich.
You're gonna you don't have to make a mayonnaise and ranch sandwich.
You don't.
But like Ryan was saying, you are gonna get to the other side of this. And if you're not careful, you might miss whatever lessons you might pick up along the way. I've been through lots of challenges and I have missed the lessons. And so what happens is I get the lesson again in a new form. A new challenge. Same lesson, new challenge. And so sometimes when we're going through this, pay attention. Because there's something you can learn. And it might just be the thing that sets you on a path to, massive success in some area. Who knows? But great challenges give birth to great opportunities. They really do. Every time. Every time. And like Ryan said, it might not be the opportunity you want. It might not be the one you were thinking of. But there's an opportunity in there somewhere.
And at some point you should be grateful,
Mhm.
thankful.
Yep.
You'll find yourself being grateful, rather.
You will. Yep. And you'll look back on it and you'll have stories to tell. You'll be like, "Man, remember that? It was so terrible. But man, we made it." I had a buddy of mine he's a guitar builder. Actually, you see, I have a guitar back there that I put all new electronics in that he helped me. He had taught me a lot of stuff on how to do that. But I remember going to his shop one time. He was living in his shop. He didn't have water. His water had been shut off. His electricity had been shut off. So he ran an extension cord from the neighbor's building that the neighbor allowed him to do.
Wow.
So he could work on guitars because he had a guitar shop, right? And I mean, now he's like this, he's got Kenny Rogers in his cell phone and, he texts for these guys, goes on tour around the United States, not so much since COVID. But that was what he did. He's a guitar technician and he would tour with big name acts, all over the place, around the country, tech for him for a while, be on tour, and then he'd come back and he's working on custom guitars in his shop and everything like that. And he lives in Nashville now, when he's not on the road. And, he's doing awesome. But I remember going and visiting him for a few days and he's like, "Yeah, I don't have any power." And I'm like, "That's all right. We'll sleep on the couch." He's like, "I got an extension cord, so, we can plug some stuff in, whatever." It's like, "All right, man, you got candles, It works for me. You know, it's like, you know, we were living in Traverse City in the town, right? And so there's public restrooms and stuff like that. You can just whatever. And I remember we went to this one truck stop to go take a shower. It was a like, you know, the coin operated shower thing where, you know, you put your money in the thing and the water comes on for a while and you got to keep, you know, putting
You gotta keep on
quarters
putting it
in.
if you want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and this is an interesting thing. Very interesting thing because he was going through a real challenge right then. Right? He was struggling to keep his business going. He was living at his business. His business didn't have any power or water. And he's still operating. He's really struggling. And I went up there. I had driven up there with the car. This was not long after the car that I was talking about, my wife's car, had been repossessed, actually. And then she went with her family out to Arizona to visit her brother, and I went to Traverse City to visit my buddy. And I remember he's like, "Hey, let's go for a drive." And we went for a drive. And he's like, "First, let's go up here." And we went up on this hill. And there are all these beautiful houses up on top of this hill, overlooking the bay. You know, Traverse City, Michigan, beautiful, beautiful place. You know, there's just water. There's 2 big bays, you know, and Lake Michigan is right close by, and everything. It's just gorgeous. And we went up on this hill, and we're among all these really nice houses, you know, like $1 million houses. And we drive around, and he's like, "Okay, so now we've spent some time on top of the world." He's like, "Now let's go down the hill." And so we went down the hill, and we went driving through this one area. And we started seeing the tents. Tents made of sheets. Tents made of tarps. Tents made of sweatshirts tied together. People with their, you know, like they live in these little tents out in this field, this wooded, like some trees and some field, and you see them. You see their work boots. So like these people are working. They have jobs, you know. Maybe they're working construction. Maybe they're working something. They're working, but they don't have the money to live. So they're living in these tents that they made themselves. And Tim was like, my buddy, he says, "You know, I do this a fair amount where I'll go up." Now he didn't have a car; he would be riding his bike. So he's like, "I take a bike ride. I go up and I hang out in these big houses, and then I come back down and I hang out among the tents." And what it does is it helps me understand all the different possibilities that we have available to us. It's like right now, I'm going through a challenge, but I have a lot to be thankful for. And at the same time, there are other people living a higher standard of living that opportunity is available as well. And if I apply myself, I can get to that point as well. So he really had his head on right, even in the midst of this challenge. And so the one thing I would encourage you to do, Amira, find some things to be thankful for. In the midst of all this craziness, there's something you can be thankful for. I promise. I promise. There are things to be thankful for. One, you have the ability to, you know, hang out with us on Don't Worry Wednesday. So that tells me that you have some kind of an electronic device, whether it's a phone or a tablet or a computer or something. That's one thing you can be thankful for. You've got a connection to the world. That's awesome. And you can start with that and go on from there. So anyway, I've talked for a long time. I apologize. Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, but thank you so much, Joe. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be thankful for if we really think about it, and I think that also does help us get in the right attitude for moving forward. You know, I know there's so many stories like Sam Walton, for example, who created Walmart. You know,
Mhm.
uh, finances were terrible. He was, yeah, it was very rough for him and his family, and they still managed to make something of themselves.
Mhm.
So no matter where you're at, no matter your position, if you feel like, oh no, I'm, you know, the rock bottom, I'm getting kicked out of my house, blah blah blah, there are many successful people who have been there, kind of a similar spot, you know, not exactly, but very similar spot before you, who
Mhm.
then turn their lives into, you know, keep on keep on climbing that mountain and they get to the top, you know. Um,
And think about this: if you have a flair for the dramatic, which most of us do, most of us like, to experience some drama. It's tough when we're going through the drama. But if you have a flair for the dramatic, think about this. What's happening to you right now, that's the makings of a wonderful story.
mm-hmm.
The most boring story in the world is everything went just fine and, they got to death safely and, everything was just great. They made enough money to survive, everything was great. They never had a car breakdown on the side of the road and everything was fine. Who would go see that movie? Boring. It'd be like, it wouldn't even have any Rotten Tomatoes.
It wouldn't even have a single star. It'd be like zero and no, just 0 stars.
But the movies we see, the drama, there's a movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, spelled
Oh, that's a good one.
Happyness. And I remember the time where he's, he him and his son spent the night in the bathroom, the public bathroom.
Yeah, it's based on a true story too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's a real successful stockbroker now, right? And so it's like, man, but
Yeah.
we can the stuff we survive just adds to the color and flavor of our lives. And nobody wants to hear that when they're going through the problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, you got the
One thing,
makings of some awesome stuff.
yeah, one thing that always keeps me going is the understanding of like, hey, you know, when we go through hard times, that's what creates greatness inside of us, right? There's a reason for all things, right? Everything happens for a reason. It's the line, and it's a
Mhm.
true statement. And if you disagree, then you don't agree with science. So science is based on is that everything happens for a reason.
I don't agree with science.
I don't agree with science. Everything happens for a reason, and we can make something good out of anything, you know. But, um, you know, it's our struggles. Struggles create better versions of ourselves. And so sometimes sometime in your life, you might feel like there's no struggles, and you might feel like, you know, hey God, please just throw struggle at me so I can keep on getting better. Because right now I feel stale and like I'm not getting any better, you know. And that's a point you could be at. But right now you're going through it. Just remember, hey, this is gonna lead to a better version of yourself, and a better life in the future. Um, however hard this is, but you'll get through it. So yeah,
Tara
thank you. Amir.
Tara says Frodo walked up to the volcano and threw the ring in. The end. That's not how it went.
Yeah, that's how it went. That's why it was so boring. No, that's not how it went at all.
Uh,
So we have something from Meow.
oh, we do. What's from Meow?
Yeah.
A topic?
Princess, did you want to read Meow?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
In one of my classes, there's this project called Motivational Moment. In this project, we pick something, anything, that is motivational to us, and we do the project on it. I'm going to do it on Wax Static and Serve and Don't Worry Wednesday and Static P and stuff.
Whoa.
Wow, it's one very long topic.
Yeah.
One of the requirements is 2 quotes. There can be more. So I thought I'd ask Ryan, Jill, and Princess if they want a quote from each. I thought it would be cool for the quote to come from me asking. It can be anything, but preferably something motivational and or original. I also probably want to use some lyrics and or quotes from the Criminal Idol book. This
Go
topic
for
should
it.
be a quick one, so sorry if my wording's bad. I hope I explained this well. Thank you, from Meow.
That's awesome.
Wow, thank you. I'm very honored
Yeah.
that you would.
Yeah,
do this.
honestly, I mean, that's, you know, of course, that's what we're here to help people and hopefully, be motivational. But, you know, Joe and I come from a long line of watching people who have motivated us. And so it's great we really appreciate that you consider us motivational to any degree. So, yeah.
I have one
So, who's going
recommendation for a quote.
Yes, go
This
for
is
it.
Yeah,
the
go
one
for
that
it,
I love
Princess.
that Ryan said. You aren't defined by your baggage. You can set it down and walk away. You can't do that with your heart.
Yeah,
I really like that.
That was a quote that she quoted not too long ago. There you go. There's one.
Never mind, you quote it from Ryan, not me.
That was Princess's quote.
No, that's right. It doesn't
She
mean
can
it's
have it.
Ryan's given quote, but it's a quote that I recommend.
And let us know,
Ti-
like, oh, you can rewatch this to get the quote right. So, like, if we say it too fast or something. Now, if we mumble
Yeah.
it.
My favorite quote is we went to the car and then we just
Could we write the quotes in the chat? Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is actually an original. I quote myself in saying this. Oh, look at that. Princess is awesome.
That's not the quote.
That's what?
That's not the quote. Sorry.
That's not the quote?
She messed up.
No, I meant that I was gonna record it down, but I wasn't gonna add that, like, "Hey, Princess is awesome" or whatever in your quote, because you're about to say your quote thing. It's a joke.
Oh, that's not Princess. Princess is saying that's not your quote, Joe.
Wait, Star wrote about us for an assignment too?
Wow.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
Thanks,
wow.
guys.
I am so honored.
Mm-hmm.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, spread
That's
the word.
amazing.
Let the teachers know they can come here.
Totally done it before too.
Mm-hmm.
Let the teachers know for sure. All right. So one of the quotes that was an original was the one of to live your dream is to work constantly in its arena.
Oh, you made that up?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I thought you took that from someone because it's so good. That's really good, dude.
I remember thinking about that, but the real kicker is the next part of it, because I wrote this to kick myself in the butt. What's that?
Just
is there more to the quote?
Ignore me.
Yep, there's more. That's only the first half. To live your dream is to work constantly in its arena. And here's the other part. Achievement is momentary and fleeting, and therefore overrated. Because I was sitting there kind of discouraged that I hadn't achieved much. And I'm like, wait a second.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. To live your dream is to work constantly in its arena. Achievement is momentary and fleeting, and therefore overrated. So to really live your dream is not to live a life of achievement, but to live a life of working at what you want to be doing. That's to live your dream. Like, so people will be like, I'm living the dream, and they always say it sarcastically. How you doing today? Living the dream. I'm like, yeah.
Hey, you better be.
Can you repeat the third line?
So what you're telling me is you sleep like a baby, right? They're like, no. Like, yeah, you do. You wake up every 2 hours screaming and hungry, right?
Wake up every 2 hours screaming and hungry. That is more like sleeping like a baby.
That's how a baby sleeps, let me tell you.
Yeah, they do. Never met a baby who doesn't do that.
Could you repeat your third line?
The third line?
Yes.
Overrated.
Overrated.
No, that's it.
Oh, you don't want the second part?
That was it.
The second part was also part of the quote.
Okay, just say it all again. See if she's got all of it.
The whole quote is, to live your dream is to work constantly in its arena. Achievement is momentary and fleeting, and therefore overrated. That's the whole quote.
Oh, because you had said to live a life of working something or other.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
To be living the dream.
I that was just kind of an explanation of the quote, I guess.
Okay, then I will remove that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put that in, you can, but then we're starting to
I
quote
can, but it was
paragraphs
up to
and
you.
stuff,
I mean,
now
some
it's
people
going to be
want
like,
quotes.
because, like, I know people who are like, hey, I got to write a paragraph for school, and it has to be 3 sentences long, and so now we're talking a whole paragraph.
Here's
That's
another
great.
recommended quote from Joe.
Huh?
Which one's that? Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for thanks for using me in your assignments, and it's okay, Helmarock. You don't have to. You don't have to use me in an assignment. It's totally fine. I understand that static electricity uh, and static P kind of would make things confusing.
Would it be better? So you see static P up there with the hyphen.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, would it be cool if I just went Joe hyphen A?
Yeah, that works actually. That would look great.
I was also wondering if Ryan's name should be in parentheses, but
Oh, if
then
it
it would
should
seem
say
like a band name.
static P Ryan. No, I think that would be fine if it was in parentheses.
Yeah,
Because some people refer to you as that, so
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
I
if
mean, got
people
all
get
sorts of different
confused on,
names.
you know.
you do.
I acquired a
Rybabe.
new name, a couple new names just this week. Two new nicknames. One of them, well, three technically. One of them was Razp. The other one was Razp. Razzp. I don't know. But then there was another
Razp.
one, Ryuya. Right? Yeah,
That's
that's
interesting.
from. Yeah, that one's from Abby. She's Filipino, and she doesn't live in the Philippines, but her parents are Filipino, and she moved from the Philippines to Canada when she was young.
Mm.
So, anyways, um, Kuya in Tagalog means like brother
Mm.
kind of thing, and so that's where it came from.
So you're Ryuya?
I think it was Ryuya.
Ryuya?
Ryuya? Maybe it was Ryuya. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So that was a new one for me. And then there's Rai Babe. You can throw whatever you wanted in there.
The P.
The P. That's my favorite. Oh, Princess, you put another quote in there.
From you, yes.
Yeah, that's part of my daily affirmation, actually.
Yeah, so 2 quotes for Rye, I think. No, 1 quote from Rye.
I have a lot of quotes that I quote myself on, so that's
Quote.
all right.
You gotta say one, Ryan. You're not
Okay.
getting out of this. You're not getting out of this that easy. You're not gonna
Okay.
distract us.
Well,
Time to do the Seawald sizzle. There we go. That's
yeah. Well, I wish my last name was Sweelad. That'd be
sweet
cool.
lad.
Sweelad. It was a typo once, and then it was like, yeah, that's actually really good. I like it. Ryan Sweelad. I would totally change my name to that if I was given the opportunity. So, anyways, I don't know. I got a couple of them. I've got a quote on what love is. I got a quote on dealing with people, making friends, and that sort of thing. And I've got a couple other ones out there. You can pick, Meow. What quote do you want it on? What's the topic you want the quote on? Is it motivation specifically? So to motivate.
You should just.
I think
you should
Joe's
just,
is really
You
good.
should just say
Motivation.
them all, and then
I can't remember them
Meow
all.
can pick.
They come to my head when they're needed.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Baby, don't hurt me. That's it.
What?
What?
What are you laughing about, princess?
Major characteristics of Apollo: musical, god of music, god of song, poetry. Could play the lyre, which of one of his symbols admired and looked up to. Long-haired, golden, wise, cheerful, energetic. Modern day counterpart: static P, musical, music producer, creates his own music, sings his own songs, can play multiple musical instruments, including the piano. Admired, looked up to.
Yeah,
Apollo
and then
the sweet
long golden
lad.
hair, hopefully wise, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely
cheerful
wise.
and energetic. I'm cheerful, but probably not
Cheerful.
energetic.
You're
I
energetic.
mean, you
at
can be if
moments.
you're
To a
talking
degree.
about specific topics.
Yes, if it's a specific topic, I can be energized. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You just
Okay.
gotta
There's
watch
more.
for it. Energetic.
Long- Blonde hair.
Long blonde hair, gives good thoughtful advice, cheerful and sees the positive side in things, desires the best for people.
Nice. That's funny. That's great. I've never been compared to Apollo before, but there we go. Nice.
And Apollo probably has his face on a shower curtain.
That's true. And hopefully someday I will too.
Anyone need the shower curtain picture link?
Yeah. Have you seen my face on a shower curtain? If you haven't, do you have a link, Princess?
I'm looking for it. It's
Nice.
She's got it. If
She's
you
got
don't
it, she'll
have it,
find
I
it.
got
She's
it somewhere.
organized.
It's buried into my.
Oh wait, I think I can find it if no one else does. I found it. All
Okay.
right,
Oh,
I just have
wow.
to.
That was quick.
It's just not in my normal notes area because I was trying to be more professional. So I have to look at my old notes
Although
area.
it's kind of it's like from a Discord link, but that's okay.
Well,
There
Discord
you
link
go.
is how I actually was able to get it to be sent to people as a link.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So
There's my face on a shower curtain.
Yes, it is.
With motivational words. I love you. I didn't make this, by the way, in case you're wondering. You want to know who did? My brother.
oh, that's not the same one I have, but here we go.
Oh, you have a
Here's
different
another
one?
version. Yep,
Okay.
it has the full bathroom.
Oh,
yes,
yours has the full
yes.
Yeah, see, that one's cut
But
off.
see, that makes it better because then you're looking at
Yeah.
the person if they
Who's
were
on the toilet, yeah.
toilet.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. Yeah, I think mine was probably someone shot their computer with their phone.
Ah, gotcha.
So that can be the cover image for your essay, Meow.
Yes, that would be the perfect cover image for your essay. No one could not want to read that.
Or you
They
could
would look
have
at it and
any
go-
questions and put that picture on the last slide. Someone will ask about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, quotes, Ryan.
I don't know. You can pick any. Just say it was me. I'm trying to think of motivational quotes specifically. I don't know if I have any. I can't think of any quotes that would be necessarily motivational. Just quotes that are hope, wisdom, like dealing with people. So I'll give that one. If I can remember it, it's been a long time. When dealing with people, how do I say that? What's most important when dealing with people is not how you look, but how they look to themselves when you're around them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want me to say that again, I can say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
One moment. Let me try and type what I remember.
Motivation quotes for going upstairs.
Title: 2 quotes to support and enhance your presentation, visual and or audio aid, YouTube clip, song, movie clip, poster. Okay, that's the
Could you
directions for
repeat
the
it, please?
assignment.
Okay. The most important thing when dealing with people is not how you look, but how they look to themselves when you're around them.
You look, but how they look to themselves around you?
Mm-hmm.
How they look to themselves when you're around them.
How they look to themselves when you're sitting next to them on a shower curtain while they're on the toilet.
That's right. That's right.
Can you repeat the beginning part again? What's most important? Is that what you said?
The most important thing
Not the most.
in dealing with people. Yeah, I think that's it.
Most important thing when dealing with people is not how you look, but how they look to themselves when you are around them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Close enough. It varies, It's a quote that I get to change every time I say it. So,
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you say? 2 quotes.
there you go.
Title: 2 quotes that support and enhance your presentation, visual and audio clip.
Do you need 2 quotes?
You are responsible for arranging with your
Okay.
teacher in advance to have necessary items to play a CD, show a clip, positive, inspirational, and school appropriate message. This could be including personal story, sharing another personal story as long as the source is giving credit, or sharing a story, poem, song, or event, etc. that provides you inspiration. Explanation of why you chose that and what it did to be meaningful to you.
Yeah. 2 or more. Well, there's
Well,
4.
now you have 4 quotes
listed.
to choose from.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've got plenty. You've got plenty. And Tara, you wanted a motivational quote for going upstairs. I would say that remember that each step is its own, but it's the motivation which makes the climb easy. Sorry, the not motivation. It's the what's the word? What's the word when you like you push a ball and it just keeps on rolling because it has the momentum. There you go. It's the momentum. It's the momentum of the journey that helps you up the stairs. There you go. Gotcha quote machine? Yeah, that would be great. Ryan Seawald's gotcha quote machine. Oh, that would be fun. Could make a website where people just click it and they pay me money for quotes. No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
If you,
It has to
if
be
I
a
were to
gotcha
show
that's
a
free.
video, what would I show?
It's not like I like
don't
you.
know. 100 million views, 20, 30 million views. The least motivational video out there.
You could
I don't know, pick
probably do any
whatever-
of the Criminal Idol ones.
just the part where she says, "No, that sounds really stupid."
Yeah, that's right. Just that part. No, I mean, whatever your heart, whatever speaks to you, you know, whatever's made an impact on you. I think that's the most important thing. Whether it's a segment from a show that we did at Don't Worry Wednesday, or you know, a specific video on SATIP, or maybe even CDVNL, whatever's impacted you. Or not CDVNL, it's not that anymore. It's a single dual.
Mhm. What if I did a part 2 where somewhere in the DWW you guys specifically did a part for it? That would be funny. Oh. For your for part 2 of the project, and we said, "Hey, this goes out to Meowlado." Let word.
Yeah, but they would be they would have to have their real name because otherwise it's like that's me. I'm Yalado. Oh, are you?
Oh wow! My teacher takes song requests and we listen to "It's Not Like I Like You."
Nice.
Part 2 of the
Nice.
topic.
Well, if you wanted to do something like that, it would probably be helpful for us to know exactly what would be required from your teacher
Mhm.
side.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind, like, either in a post or DMing or whatever, if you sent that to me, I could figure out what it is, or you could send it to either of them too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is
But-
currently like at the 2-hour mark of this episode, so
It
probably
is
would be wise to-
2:09 of the episode, so we are a little over time.
or a little overtime. That's fine. It's fine.
But that's okay.
Working overtime at
Wait.
the car wash.
Car wash, car wash.
I was thinking of a different song.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I was thinking of I'm working overtime, get out, or something like that. There's a what song is that? Business.
Hmm?
Doing
Taking care of
business.
business?
Oh yeah,
Taking care of business. There you go.
Oh my
Taking care of
gosh,
business.
man! I played that song so many times in bars.
Yeah, I bet. I bet that song was requested a lot.
A lot.
But yeah, taking care of business and there's a
Free
part in
bird.
the song that says taking care of time.
Oh yeah, working overtime, working
overtime.
out.
Yeah, work it out. That's what they say. Work it out. All right. Well, thank you everybody for a fantastic show. Thanks for sticking around and listen to us ramble.
Mhm.
We appreciate all of the pleasantries and the whole hard, beautiful messages in the chat, and we hope to chat with you all again very soon.
Mhm.
But this concludes our episode of Don't Worry Wednesday. So we all wish you much joy in your upcoming days, and to understand that we love you, and you guys are awesome. So
Yes, and One Sprudel 420. Sorry, you caught us right at the tail end of the show, but
yeah, you caught us right at the end. We usually start about 2 hours ago from right now. So
Mhm.
2 hours ago is when we start. And what you caught was us kind of just responding to people, so you didn't actually catch the show, but that's totally cool.
yeah, Yeah.
But we appreciate you showing up. It's great.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you for being here. And yep, it's you can hit the like button and you can hit the subscribe button and
That's
you
right.
can hit the bell and you will be notified that like usually like a half hour before the show starts. Is it about a half hour, I think?
I don't know. I've
That a
never had the bell on
notification comes
anything,
in?
so you're probably
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Something.
Maybe 15 minutes. Either
Yeah.
way, show up and there will be a timer, and it'll say, "Hey, we're starting in this amount of time."
Yep.
And that'll get you. That'll let you know. But
It'll be good. But thanks for being here.
yeah. All right. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye. Love you guys.